Okay, little Smokies, let's talk about Orenthal James Simpson for a bit. Some of the history, some of the things that Simone and I recently discovered as well, and we think that you guys might be interested to hear this.
Welcome back, little weens.
Little Weens? Wow.
Little
Not sure how our subscribers are going to feel about that, but welcome back, everybody.
Yeah, we got some new subscribers too, right?
Oh, yeah?
I don't know. I
How many
thought we.
fingers am I holding up right now, Simone?
I don't know. My camera's split, so I can't see all your fingers.
Your camera's split or is your vision split? You're sounding a little slurry. How you doing over there? You feeling
6.
okay? 6? How would I even do that?
I can't see your because I have my
Oh,
research
I
on
see.
one screen.
Okay.
You on the
Let the
other one.
record show that what she's saying is now clicking with me. That was my comprehension
Yeah,
problem.
are you?
Sorry. I was like, what?
Are you feeling okay over there?
For the record, I was showing 8 fingers,
Oh.
4 and 4.
See,
So that's why when you said 6, I was really concerned because you doubled down on it. And
So we have 8 new subscribers?
no, we don't have 8 new subscribers.
Oh.
I think we have 2 new subscribers though,
So
and
why
welcome.
were you making the number 8?
I was asking if you knew how many fingers I was holding up because you were
okay.
slurring your speech. Now that you've caught up with the rest of us, I'm
No,
hoping.
I think the rest of us just caught up with you.
Hmm?
So we have 2 new subscribers, so welcome new people.
And returning subscribers, we don't want to shade you either.
Oh, yeah. Welcome. Yes.
Well, yes, welcome back everyone and the noobs.
Yes.
Welcome, green beans. And if you play video games, you might know what that's a reference to. And if you're not old and played video games quite a few years back, you might not know what I'm talking about either.
I have no idea what you're
there's that.
talking about.
Of course you don't. You don't play games.
Oh.
So, at any rate, today we have brought you all here to discuss
OJ.
Well, yeah. And we're not talking about the breakfast drink Tropicana, although we may make a joke here or there around him being called Tropicana.
That other kind of is better than Tropicana. Sunny D.
Sunny D isn't real juice. I'm pretty sure. I'm 99% sure it's like corn syrup with like a splash of like juice, and then they pour a bunch of citric acid powder
I
in there
used
or
to
something.
down those Sunny D's like nobody's business with a 6-pack of Choco Donuts. Let's take me back.
Oh, sounds like a terrible combination.
That's how I got to be where I am in life. But anyways, talking about Mr. O.J. Simpson.
Yep. I mean, given the fact that he has recently passed,
May he
I
rip.
think it's... Yep, may he rip.
What does O.J. stand for? I read it somewhere.
Orenthal.
Yep.
Orenthal, you know, to be honest with you, I'm going to have to look this up. One moment, please. Beep, boop, beep, boop, beep. That is the sound of the internet, everybody.
It's dialing out.
Is it James? If it's as simple as James, I'm going to be really annoyed. Is it Jameis?
I think it is John.
Yeah, it's Orenthal James Simpson. Well, there's that. I'm glad you all joined us here for this podcast that I couldn't even remember James. I remembered Orenthal.
Yeah, that's pretty impressive.
Okay. Well, at any rate, we're not going to call him Orenthal throughout the episode because I feel like that's a bit of a tongue twister. And
Orenthal. So okay, Orenthal just passed away recently. And I would like to go on record that when Orenthal did pass away, I told Katie, hey, we should do an episode on OJ. And she said, no, nobody will care. But here we are because...
all right. I think there needs to be a little bit of information shared here with everyone, that it wasn't just straight shot down. I said, I'm not sure anybody's going to care that O.J. Simpson died. It was a long time ago, all the O.J. stuff.
Oh, I was like, no, was it?
But, well, yeah, it
I'm
was.
back. I tracked. Keep going.
Okay. But since this all happened, and after I did say, I admit, I did say nobody's going to care, I don't think. Why? What are we going to talk about? The same recycled stuff? But yes, everyone, we are, because I discovered just about a week and a half ago that there was this interview released in 2018 that was actually recorded in 2006.
Yeah, the quality is awful.
Well, I mean, the sound quality's there. That's all you need.
Yeah.
That's all our people get.
That's right. That's right.
But so at any rate, I found this interview. It's long. It's long, and I say that, and I know confirmed because I sent it to Simone, and she was like, "Oh my god, it's so long."
It is long.
But well worth the watch, because this idiot, I wholeheartedly believe this was a confession. I'm sorry.
You know, I always thought he did it. So, but okay, we're getting ahead of ourselves. So let's start. Tell us about old Orenthal's early years.
Okay, so yes, given what we find out in the the newer, I guess, documentary, quote unquote, I think it's only fitting that we catch everybody up to who this guy is. So some of you may know this stuff. This might be some new information. You may not know any of this. So we'll try and get through the boring stuff and get to the good stuff,
Well,
as quickly as possible.
good stuff or like the bad stuff. That's
Well, yeah, no, it's terrible. But, I'm meeting the stuff that everybody wants to hear, unfortunately. We're all terrible people. There we go. So early life. He was born. When do you think OJ was born? Before you knew, because obviously you know now, but how old did you think he was?
I would say he was probably like 75. Was I close?
Well, he was born in 1947.
So so how old was he?
He was 76 when he passed away. So I guess you were pretty close.
But I think part of that was because subconsciously I was doing the math because I saw when he was born.
That's fair. So you're admitting to everyone here that you cheated?
I did.
Okay.
I did.
So yeah, he was 76. He was actually old, and a lot older than I had thought, because he did look so young during the trial and all of that I don't know.
Yeah,
I
but
don't
the
live in
trial
reality
was
sometimes.
like how long ago?
Well, we'll get there.
Fine.
We'll get there. But early 90s.
Yeah, but that's like saying
Early.
that I looked young when I was a baby. That's because that was
Okay, we're taking this too far. We're going to get back on track here. I'm sorry, everybody. This is okay. So essentially, OJ grew up without much of a father figure. So his father left early on in life. He was born in 1947. He grew up in the projects of San Francisco with his mother. And pretty much the only time that OJ had contact with his father as he was growing up was whenever he was getting into trouble. His mom would eventually get frustrated, call his dad, and he would, I don't know. They didn't really go into detail, but I'm assuming whatever people did back in the 50s, and then he would go on his way. So the only time you really ever saw him was when he was being disciplined. So not really a true father figure in his life. He was a little rough around the edges and was getting involved in gangs at one point, things like that, but never did anything super serious. I think the most that came up was like something about them robbing a liquor store or something, getting drunk one night. And
who hasn't robbed a liquor store, right? Just kidding.
Right, totally relatable. I mean, I know that I've robbed my fair share of liquor stores, so just mark that on the old resume, put that on there. But so as he was growing up, I guess Willie Mays at one point he idolized him as an athlete, and he still was doing sports and high school sports. He went to Galileo High School in San Francisco growing up. So they saw the potential in him, but also falling into the wrong crowd, like anybody else, leads you down the wrong path, right? And so they didn't want to see that happen. And so from what I heard recently in some, interview from a long time ago, I guess his mother, somehow somebody had gotten in touch with Willie Mays and had arranged with his mother that he'd go out with OJ for one afternoon and spend a few hours with him and stuff, and was essentially just trying to tell him, like, you can continue down the path of athleticism and actually make something of it. And he likes to think that that made some type of impact on him. So nonetheless, he was very successful in high school. He went to college, and he actually started at San Francisco City College, 65 through 66, because he didn't qualify yet and needed a scholastic scholarship to get into USC. So he ended up going to USC, 2 Rose Bowls, won the Heisman Trophy in 68. He was also a part of the relay team that had a world record for the 440-yard dash. Just all in all, an all-star athlete.
Is that where they jump over things?
No, the relay?
Oh, that's just like a baton. Got it.
Well, okay. Well, we'll leave that there because we're going to get past the sports here soon enough. So into the realm of things that you may feel a little bit more comfortable with discussing.
Hey, I know about sports. Go Avs. Sorry, go ahead.
I need you to enunciate that. I'm not sure that that was going to pick up correctly, and people might think you might have said something else. What'd you say?
Go Avs.
And the old Nuggets, huh?
Yep. Yeah.
I don't watch either of those sports, so. At any rate, back to what OJ was doing, which was not playing hockey. Shocking. I know. Everyone was like, wait a minute. I thought he was right up there next to Wayne Gretzky, which is as far as my hockey knowledge goes.
Good job.
So he then goes into the NFL after having a successful college, football career. This was disappointing. I'm gonna be honest with you. So I was like, I'm looking into OJ. Who did he play for?
The Bills.
I'm a Bills fan, everybody, in case you don't know, and shocked to see that he played for my team for like 10 years almost. So
yeah.
Wow.
He's 69 to 78.
Yeah.
That's time.
That's crazy. That's a heck of a career, right? And then he ends up getting traded, but I really loved this one.
Yeah, he gets traded to the 49ers.
And what's crazy about that, for those of you who don't know, my husband's team is the Niners. So I don't know if that is any type of messaging.
What a
but
connection.
He was only with the Niners for a year, though, to be fair. I think it was like just an ease out into retirement.
Yeah, because he was hurt.
Yeah, he had bad knees and stuff. My goodness, have you seen how hard some of these people get hit? Blah.
Yeah.
And there are people who say that he might have, the concussion.
Yeah.
What is that? The head trauma thing or whatever? Everybody knows what I'm talking about.
I know.
We don't need
I know what you're talking about, but I don't know what the letters that are in the word.
Is it CTE, CRE, CFE? It's C something.
ABC.
C something, say something. Yeah, no. Okay. So at any rate, he was inducted to the Pro Football Hall of Fame in 1985. And he was really successful.
85.
So even before I was born.
Yeah, me too.
Aging ourselves here. I don't know if that's positive or not. We didn't say when, so could be like, early 2000s.
I identify as a 27-year-old.
I can get with that. Absolutely.
Or a baked potato, either one.
I'll take the baked potato on my Saturdays and Sundays, but throughout the week, I'd love the energy I had, Anybody else, leave a comment below. What would you rather be? 27 years old or a baked potato?
Baked potato for sure.
Okay, so because of all of his success on the field, one could say that it helped lead to a bigger career into television and film. So when he was at USC, he did star in an episode of Dragnet.
What is
Do
that?
you remember that show?
No.
You know, oh,
I was -3 years old in 1985, so
okay. So I don't know that it was in 85. Actually, I think it was even before that
oh,
because it was
good.
when he was in college.
No, I've
So
never heard of it. Is it a show about dragons and magnets?
absolutely not. It's a detective show. It's an older
Oh.
show, but he had an uncredited role in that. Whatever that's supposed to mean. I guess he didn't get a credit, but
He's
he was there.
they're like, "You could be here, but we're not gonna put your name on this."
You get half credit.
Yeah.
Okay, you get to star in it, but you get nothing. So not really sure what that means, but
Much like the people who J-Lo stole all the songs from, just to tie it
oh
back.
yes, check out the JLo episode if you haven't yet. It's pretty pretty scary stuff you find out about her not being able to do literally anything,
Right.
I guess. But so he starred in Dragnet. He was kind of an actor at that point then before he was a professional football player, if you want to say that. But he also appeared in a show or an episode of Medical Center. And that, I'm going to be honest with you, is some old ass show. I don't think anybody knows about it. If you do, I'm sorry. I don't mean no offense, but
Maybe it's like
the hell is that?
the Grey's Anatomy of the 1980s.
Do you think?
I don't know, I'm
Well,
just making things up.
you're just reaching for anything at this point. Great. So he was also in Naked Gun, the Naked Gun trilogy, and he actually did a good job. He was actually pretty funny in that. And
Never saw
I know you
those.
know.
No,
Oh,
I don't know
never
that.
mind. Take it back.
He
Back
also
to the Beach. I'm sure you don't know either.
Nope, and I never knew that he was thought to have rumored to try for the role in Terminator.
Well, not the role, just like a side character role.
Oh, he didn't get it?
No,
That's pretty
it was just a rumor
pretty
that
sad
he
if he
wanted him.
tried to get a side part and he didn't even get it.
Well, I don't know. I mean, people try and go for things all the time and don't get it. What are you trying to say? Like, just don't try for anything unless it's 100%, everyone. Heard it here first.
I'm just saying, if he had this acting career, he was in medical
Well,
center.
he wasn't primarily an actor. Clearly, he was an athlete for wow. I'm done with how are you gonna make me defend OJ Simpson right now?
You
Ah,
heard it first.
this is the worst. Okay, let's get through this as quickly as possible so we can so he did actually have some sports broadcasting in there. Did Monday Night Football and a Super Bowl at one point and NFL Live between spattered in there. Ugh, I'm not sure I like that word. Gross.
Sprinkled?
Spattered. Yeah, that's a little better. uh, sprinkled in there from 78 to 82. So that is early life and career of Orenthal James
Simpson.
Simpson.
Got
Mm.
it. So take us
So,
now into his a little bit older years.
oh, I thought you were going to tell me to take you down to the Paradise City where the
Take me
grass is
down
green.
to the paradise city where the grass is green and the girls are pretty. Sorry.
You're good. I set you up for that, so I knew what was happening. I knew what was
You
going to
put
happen.
the bait out there knowing I would take it.
I did. I dangled it. You got dongled. So I think I'm going to let you take it away on the thing that interests you the most, which is the love life.
So how would you say his first wife's name?
Great. So I pass the torch, and immediately we need a sauce. Okay, that is Marguerite.
Okay, so Marguerite Whitley. So I did watch or not watch. I listened to some about this part, and they had 3 kids together. So she was actually pregnant with the 3rd kid, and they were getting a divorce or separated. They weren't divorced yet. They were separated. And then
Yep.
old Orenthal goes out to eat and sees Nicole and says that he just knew that he was meant to be with her. But
I think there's something also I'd like to add to that too. So Nicole, at the time, Nicole Brown, 18 years old.
Yeah, so quite the age gap. So OJ was married to Margarita. Just kidding, Marguerite White Whitley.
Wow. This is with notes, ladies and gentlemen. I would just like to say right now, this is with notes. She's just freestyling. She's
I would like
chiseled.
to say that the notes you sent over were in like font 10. I had to blow those.
You can zoom
I
in.
did. I had to like blow that sucker up so big because
You know what you could do, Simone?
what?
What the doctor says. Wear your glasses.
You're right, but
But you're not going to do that. You're going to complain about the font that I can see perfectly fine.
well, it's in like 12. Nobody could read 12 font.
You know
Anyways,
what? You know what I'm wearing right now, everybody?
glasses.
Glasses.
Whatever. So he was married to old
Not
Miss.
eye roll.
He was married
Oh,
to Mrs. Whitley, from 67 to 79. They had 3 children together. I'd say their names, but Arnell, Jason, and Aaron. Yep, that's right. But unfortunately, one of his kids, Erin, that's a girl. That's an interesting spelling for a girl's name. I like that. But sadly, she died in a drowning in the pool at age 2. That's
Yep.
quite depressing. So,
And Marguerite, let's not forget that was his high school sweetheart
yeah.
that he married. So he was with her through college and
Yeah.
everything.
I saw some old pictures, some olden pictures. But,
Olden.
yeah, they were.
The olden days.
But always questions around OJ being faithful, and it was in my opinion, or your opinion, or Nicole's opinion. Oh, okay, I get it. So yeah, I mean he met Nicole while he was still married, and that Marguerite was still pregnant with their 3rd kid. So okay, let's travel down to Nicole Brown. So they were married from 85 to 95. 92. You need to get it together. Okay, let me get my newscasting face back on. So,
Yeah, take us down to Browntown.
Married from 85 to 92, but met in 77. Like you said, she was 18 when they first met. And Nicole was working as a waitress in a nightclub at a place called Daisy.
I think it was actually a breakfast place.
Oh, well, my
Maybe.
notes say nightclub, but
Yeah.
I'll have to go back to the research department to get facts on that. So might be breakfast, the Breakfast Club, might be a nightclub. We're not sure, but that's where Nicole met old Orenthal. Right? Are you tracking
Yep.
so far?
I am. I'm with you.
All right. So Simpson and Nicole, while dating right before getting married, they dated right before getting married in 85. Oh, they did the Olympics together. I didn't know that until I read your notes.
It's oh, that's good. I'm noticing that you may be reading these for the first time right now.
I read these before.
So they weren't in the Olympics together. He ran and carried the torch and she ran with him, you know.
Oh, well,
That's just like a performance. It's not like a competition. He didn't like do the relay like he did back in the day.
okay.
They were just like, here,
the
running
baton twirl.
I think it's a torch. I'm pretty sure it's a torch.
No, yeah, but when he did the relay.
Baton twirl. Yeah. So he actually, one thing we left out of his athletic career was his stint in gymnastics, where he was really great with the ground game. Like, what?
Can you imagine him doing a floor routine?
Ribbon dancing. Good old Orenthal. We'd like to, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the stage, Orenthal. doing his classic ribbon dance, Fly Like an Eagle.
Oh god, that's a good picture. But
Okay,
so they got
take us there.
so they got married, had a couple of kids, literally 2 children, Sydney and Justin, and their marriage lasted a total of 7 years. Now never mind. Nope. Mm-mm. 'Kay.
Oh,
Nope,
so you're
I'm gonna
what?
hold my question until the end.
You're you're gonna hold it?
Yeah.
We're gonna have to hold we're gonna ask you to hold that until we
Hold.
get to our
Yeah.
destination.
Alright,
Okay?
so we've covered early life of the old OJ, couple of the love life. Did you ever watch
Yeah, we
Love
didn't.
Line? Or was that a
No.
radio station? Love Line. Anyways, go ahead.
Spiraling. Yes. Spiraling a little bit, but we'll come back. So we're going to bring it back around and get to the stuff. And so, in order to talk about some of the things that we discovered in the interview from 2006 airing in 2018, I think we need to cover the moida.
Yes, we do.
What's the matter?
I was just
Why do you
doing
look sad?
I was doing math in
Oh,
my head. So, okay, I
oh,
have a question. I was
yep.
gonna hold it, but I can't. So
That's what was happening. I was really concerned for a minute. I'm like, are you all right? What are we doing
I
right
was
now?
trying to have self-control, but I have none. So they were married for 7 years. Were they separated when the murder happened?
They were already divorced.
They were divorced. Okay,
They were divorced.
got it.
So they did have like a separation period pre-divorce, which came up. Uh, People had been discussing that. I had watched multiple interviews where family friends and all sorts of people were talking about their tumultuous relationship and all of the questionable things that had come up with their interactions and all sorts of stuff, right? So, um, needless to say, I do not think that he was a very faithful man, no matter what, whether they were together or not. But definitely he absolutely had some expectations for her and some double standards, I
Hmm.
think. So
I also in the documentary that I said it on the first
you
try.
did. Everybody, let's take a moment and celebrate.
Celebrate. But when I was listening or watching it, it said that he had quite the temper as well. Old
Yep. Yep.
OJ.
Always did, right?
Yeah.
Oh, always kind of did. So as far as the moida goes, the old
Moida.
yep. So everyone for the most part is familiar with this trial and the circumstances, but high level for those who don't know, we're just going to cover a little bit of this. So on the night of June 12th, 1994, Nicole Brown and Ron Goldman were, muck ducked. If anybody watches The Office,
They were
remove
friends.
the R's. Yep. No, they weren't.
Yes,
What are
they
you, what?
were. Ron Goldman and Nicole Brown were friends.
No. He, what,
Yes, they were.
what documentaries did you watch?
The
Ron
one
Goldman worked for the restaurant that her and her family had eaten at. And Judy left her glasses there, and Ron was going
No.
to take the glasses back to return them to, and it just so happened to be wrong place, wrong time.
No way. Can it continue on?
Okay, you continue to do your whatever it is you're doing, and I'm gonna stay on track. So, Nicole Brown and Ron Goldman were murdered on her porch at her Brentwood home in Los Angeles. So it was brutal, right? Some say one of the most public, gruesome situations in recent history, right? So prior to this, OJ Orenthal, Florida's natural, James Simpson's actually had quite the history with Nicole Brown. And when they were married, it included multiple reports of DV, of the old,
Yeah, it's not good.
not good, not good at all. So there was a couple, of course, and a few of them are real bad. There was one point, I think it was in 1985, or no, 89. She had been beaten so badly and that he had been, incarcerated for that for a period of time, but he only got community service. Then there was an incident that happened New Year's Eve in 1989 where she was found in the bushes by police, beaten and half naked after calling them for help because she feared for her life. And in the interview that I saw, the police officer who responded to this recalled he had returned to the home and Nicole had said, yeah, I want you to arrest him. And OJ had come to the front gate of the home that was shut and was confrontational and said he didn't want her in his bed anymore and he has plenty of women and so on, right? A real piece of work. So the police officer said, you need to get dressed. You're going to be taken into the station, placed under arrest for, the assault. Well, OJ behind the locked property gate says, okay, fine, went back into the home for what the police officer had thought he was actually getting dressed and going to come out and all that was going to happen. In reality, he didn't. A little while goes by and turns out he's not there anymore and he had left through the back and had driven off and they never caught him. So the next day,
Dummies.
OJ has this friend, I know, very competent, right? It really gives you the faith in the old 5-0, but he, like, who does that? You're going to arrest someone. It's just like, well, I'm going to need you to go inside and get dressed. And then,
yeah.
What? But at any rate, the next day he calls a police officer friend of his and it's like, hey, this is being blown out of proportion, this and this happened. And then, he ended up circling back with Nicole, and Nicole at that point, like many, unfortunately, like many people who are in that type of position, ends up believing what OJ had told her, that he, wasn't do anything and whatever. So that all kind of just washed away. And this had happened multiple times, right? Where there's multiple accounts of her calling the police. And at one point, he smashed her car in with a bat.
Yeah, that's not good.
So in this interview that we're going to be talking about in just a little bit here, in 2006, he actually references and tries to brush this off as if it was like no big deal. And so he says, yeah, she was sitting in the car, she was there at the car and we were talking about something and I just so happened to have the bat. And then I just he makes it sound like he just barely taps the car with this bat.
And it just shattered.
A little boop, boop. No, he doesn't even mention anything about the car being messed up. But he does mention when he taps the car with the bat, taps is how he describes it. Nicole says, hey, if you do that, you're going to have to pay for it. And he says, well, I pay for all this, and ends up hitting it again and harder. Now, in reality, what happened and what was actually filed in the police report was that she was sitting in the car and he smashed the windshield in and was smashing up this car. So little different than the way he describes it, right?
Yeah.
October 1993, she made a call to the police, for someone to come, please, because OJ was at her home. They had separated, she had been living elsewhere, right? And OJ came over uninvited really regularly. I'm going to be honest with you. He showed up all the time, apparently. And he burst into the home. He broke into the home while the children were sleeping and could be heard screaming and ranting and raging in the background in this 911 call. He cites in the interview in 2006, talks about that and is like, what? That's not even basically what was happening. I was reciting her the riot act because she was partying and he didn't want her exposed to these things or his children exposed to those things. And when I listened to the recording, have you heard the recording?
No.
Oh, it's awful. And it's pretty clear that what's happening in the background is not the riot act being recited by any means. He's going ballistic in the background. And on the 911 call, she said she's terrified. Please, someone send somebody quick. She's afraid he's going to literally beat the crap out of her.
Yeah.
It's messed up. This is multiple accounts of this happening and coming up. And there was even more than that. But I don't want to spend too much time on this. It's pretty dark stuff. And even for someone like me, so, God, what a bummer. So, not to describe it in that way, but I mean, what else are you going to say? So, knowing all of these details is just the tip of the iceberg because, as you can see, it wasn't a healthy relationship between him and Nicole.
No. No, it
Not at
wasn't.
all.
No.
So after Nicole and Ron were found in the state that they were at her home, right outside of her home, it was easy to say that OJ would have been a suspect, right? Exes normally are, family members, things like that. You tend to be top of the list, okay? So
In murder
we,
investigations, the significant other is always the first suspect.
unless they pass away with them, which I would assume then not, right?
Right. Yep.
So at the end of the day, this is a really sad situation. That's, you got Nicole and Ron unfortunately losing their lives outside of her home. And I'd like to point out, despite what old Simone here was trying to say,
They were
Ron
friends.
was... No, I think you're thinking of Cato. Cato was friends with Nicole and was staying in a bungalow at OJ's. I think you're getting people confused.
I don't think so, but I'd like to stay in a bungalow.
I think they just referred to it as... I'm not sure that it was truly a bungalow. I didn't look into that, but we probably should have. At any rate, Ron was literally going there to return some glasses that were left back at the restaurant.
I
That's it.
really do remember this now.
Yeah, it's coming back to
Yeah,
you,
it is.
Celine Dion.
Yes.
It's all coming back to you
Yeah.
now. All right. So now that we know that, and this whole situation with Ron, I just want to say, so sad.
Yeah.
Wrong place, wrong time, right? This is definitely not his... And I'm not saying Nicole deserved anything or anything. No, absolutely not. But of everyone involved, he was completely separated from this situation.
Yeah.
He was just doing what his boss asked him to do, take these glasses back to these people. So, what I want to talk about before we get into the case itself, right, is just a little bit on the investigation, because this is where it starts getting pretty crazy.
Gets a little hairy.
So when the police are investigating the scene, they find a glove on the side of the house.
Oh, the
Of
glove.
Nicole's. And it was leather, had blood on it, right? And when they went to OJ's house to try and notify him of the situation, because he's essentially Nicole's next of kin, even though he's her ex-husband.
Right.
Okay, so they're going over there. He wasn't home. They don't know. They don't have tabs on him, right? So there's no response at the door. So one of the police officers was walking around the perimeter of the home, because you have to think, at least what the police were saying was that they weren't sure what happened with who or anything with Nicole. So for all they know, something might be wrong with OJ. So when they're walking around the back of the house, police officer saw the Bronco, OJ's Bronco. We all know,
Yep.
right?
The Bronco and the glove.
Yep. So they noticed blood on the side of his door of his vehicle and thought, that's, we need to make sure he's okay. At least that's what they say. For me, I think they go, bingo.
Yeah.
Now we can... Either way, the police officer jumps the gate, opens it, lets them get access, right? So I couldn't think of it at the time when I was doing these notes, but this is Cato. Okay. This is the person that I was referring to, that I was saying, I think you're thinking of. It's Cato Kalin, who was actually Nicole's friend originally. And when she and OJ separated, he lived with Nicole. And like in that little side house with Nicole
The
staying at
bungalow?
the house, and they were friends. Yeah. When OJ and Nicole split up, Nicole got her own place, but there wasn't like a guest house. And he was originally staying there because he was friends with Nicole and just so happened to be acquaintances with OJ because of their marriage, right?
Mhm.
Well, when Nicole moved out, there wasn't a guest house for him there. So OJ had said, you can stay here for a bit in the bungalow until the guest house, basically until you can find a place. So that's why he was there and isn't necessarily friends with OJ, but at any rate. So... And Cato is also the one who went to McDonald's with OJ that night before he either went on the plane to Chicago and nothing else happened, or allegedly killed Nicole.
Got it.
So they go in, they see Kato, they're, trying to get into the house. Well, OJ is gone. He flew to Chicago. They don't know that though yet. And then Kato comes out of the bungalow and is like, what? Ugh. Half asleep because it's like 4 or 5 in the morning or something. And says, oh, OJ's not here. He's in Chicago for business. And, I was sleeping, and he had said the reason why he was disoriented because it was, early in the morning. He'd just been woken up and thought, what was going on? He didn't understand what had happened. He thought maybe that OJ's plane had crashed. Then he talks about, was there an earthquake or something? Because he remembers the night prior in his little bungalow that the pictures or something were off on the wall and stuff. And there was something had slammed into the wall. And what some people say was actually OJ jumping the fence after all of this. And that's why the glove was found there. But after they question Kato, find out all that out, as they're walking the perimeter of his little bungalow / guest house, they find the other glove. So this immediately is like, oh, he's suspect number one for sure. So OJ gets a call in Chicago saying, you need to come in on a flight. Police need to talk to you. So at the time, OJ's being questioned. They note that he has a cut on his left knuckle, which he had cited that he had broke on a glass in the hotel room. Some people say that they had proven with a broken glass and a bloody towel in the hotel room that that's actually what had happened, and that none of the people on the plane had noticed he had a cut when he was flying out. So that says that didn't happen with the scuffle, potentially. I don't know if I believe that. Who pays attention to someone if somebody had a cut on their hand?
On an airplane?
Yeah, anywhere.
No, especially
a
on
hotel.
especially on an airplane, because I try to avoid all eye contact with people on airplanes.
And my thing is if he broke it at the hotel, like if he goes there and has the cut and then intentionally breaks the glass and then cleans up some of the already bloodied finger to place it as that could be to be like an alibi, basically, right? Like to just basically say, like, it happened here. That's very doable as well. So I don't know. That whole thing's very questionable. But he maintained in his interview that the night of the 12th, he was just taken to the airport. He ended up going to McDonald's with Kato and then came back home and then went to the airport. Now, there's more juicy details to this with the Kato stuff that I want to share, just a little piece. I saw an interview with him this morning that was about that whole McDonald's trip and all of that. And he says what had happened in all that is he suspects, this is just at least what he had said in the interview and what I gathered from it, that OJ was going to go out to eat and had let Kato know that as an alibi, but didn't expect Kato to say, I want to go and eat.
Got it.
So he did go with him when he had said, well, can I come? And he said, he thought about it for a minute. And he said, and it actually took him a minute to process and think about it. Like almost like he was calculating, how does this fit into what I'm going to possibly do? And then said yes. And then they went to the McDonald's.
Fun.
He said they didn't really talk. Nothing.
I wonder why they picked McDonald's.
I don't know. And he had said he didn't suggest it. They just went there. It's not like he didn't say, I'm going to McDonald's. He said, I'm going to eat. And he said, can you break 100? And Kato said, all I have is a 40. So he gave him his 220s and then said, can I come too? So they go to Mickey D's and then come back. And Kato had said that he was going to go back into the main house with OJ to eat because OJ had already eaten his quarter pounders that he got or whatever. And so he said he started to walk to the main house and then noticed that OJ wasn't with him and looked back and OJ was still standing at the car. And he said, that point, I realized, oh, he doesn't want me to go inside to his house, so I'm just going to go back to my crib and went back to
awkward.
right, doubled back to the bungalow and chilled in there, ate his food and chilled in there, and then went to sleep. So at that point, he didn't even see OJ go back in the home. For all he knows, he could have got back in the car and gone and done whatever, okay? That's the way I'm looking at it. So as far as that goes, more and more things come to light, more and more evidence. And so finally they get a warrant for his arrest because they did the interview and whatnot. And then he went on his way after the first interview. But then they were like, no. So he had arranged to be essentially turn himself in. Okay.
Personally,
His legal team.
he was released on personal recognizance.
Are you looking that up somewhere? Or?
No, I watch a lot of crime shows.
Oh, okay. Well, I'm not sure about the accuracy of that or if that's the correct way you enunciate that. But I will say he was actually told to turn himself in, basically. And so to make it less of a thing, his lawyer said, look, he'll turn himself in June 17th at 11 a.m. And so the police said, fine, we'll let him do that rather than them coming to pick him up and a media frenzy and all that. He didn't arrive as planned. Spoiler, everybody, in case you didn't notice that, the old Bronco speed chase, the famous chase down the highway and all of that. And he was later taken into custody by SWAT after they negotiated all of the things when he had been outside of his home and all of that after driving there. So,
Yep, the famous Bronco chase.
Yep. So at the end of the day, that's like the investigation side of things. And then he gets taken into custody. So then we get to the case part.
Yeah, old Rob Kardashian.
Yep. Robert Kardashian, a part of the dream team that they assembled.
Ross Geller played him in the documentary.
Oh, that's cool. I didn't know that.
Well,
I think
Ross David Schwimmer.
Oh gosh. Okay. Johnny Cochran, Robert Shapiro, F. Lee Bailey, and Alan Dershowitz, all a part of the dream team, the legal defense for OJ. Okay. So the prosecution representing the state is Marsha Clark and James Darden, arguably one of the most incompetent people who have been put on this case. And I say that because of some things that had come up.
Oh my goodness, it lasted 266 days. Can you imagine being selected for that jury duty?
I would be so miserable, sequestered for 2. Yes, so everyone, just so you guys know, this case was the longest, to this day, longest jury sequester in the state of California.
166 days. That's crazy.
That's almost a year.
Yeah. Well, what an unfortunate jury duty notice.
When you're sequestered,
You're cut
this isn't
off.
Pauly Shore's jury duty, okay? This isn't a fun time.
Right.
You don't get to bring Peanut, the little chia hua hua.
Yeah, you're cut off.
Yep, you're cut off from everything and everyone. So that's crazy. That's wild. But it was found before the trial that photo evidence was lost or mislabeled. DNA had been collected or stored improperly, which raised questions around the legitimacy of whether or not evidence may or may not have been tainted. So there was a little bit of questionable things that had happened there. Now, do I think in all of the things that were brought forward that were questionable are the damning evidence that was found? No. So I'm not really sure, but whatever. So the DNA evidence, and these are just some of the facts, right? So the DNA evidence and both of the victims' blood was found in Orenthal's vehicle. Okay.
Yeah, and on his socks.
Yeah. Who gets, come on. But okay. Nonetheless, on her socks, hair and clothing fibers consistent with OJ's, Nicole's, and Ron.
Yeah, it doesn't look too good for Mr. Orenthal.
So there was also fibers from the Bronco and Nicole's dog on the glove found outside of OJ's house that they found outside the bungalow there that made him go, wait a second, this is a match. So there's all of that. Now, the defense stated that the glove that the prosecution was trying to use didn't fit OJ's hand. We all know that, right? If the glove don't fit, you must acquit. Gotta love that. Uh,
It's pretty clever.
well, Johnny Cochran is a genius, one might say, but um, at any rate, it meant that it couldn't have been him, is essentially what the defense was arguing. The prosecution claimed that OJ was actually refraining from taking his medication for arthritis, knowing that the glove fitting was going to be coming up and it resulted in swelling, so he couldn't actually fit his hand in there, even if it did fit
It's
at one point.
too big.
No, it was too small.
Well, yeah,
Or do you
your
mean his
hand
hand?
was too big.
Oh, I was like, wait a minute, what are we referencing right now? If the glove was too big, I'm not sure that we'd be having this conversation.
Well, and also it's leather that was exposed to the elements, stored in evidence. It could have gotten smaller.
Yeah, hasn't anybody owned leather gloves when
Or
I was growing up?
pants.
And
You put those bad
leather
boys on,
pants.
it gets sweaty, you can't get those suckers back on. You have to
I'm gonna
you have to
be
create a paste out of baby powder and
Whoa!
lotion.
You're out here wearing leather pants? Where do they do that at? Oh
I
my
know,
gosh.
it's Ross Geller made me think of the Friends episode, he does that. Wears
Huh.
leather pants and he can't get it back on because he gets too sweaty. That's probably what happened with the glove. Just saying.
Well, case in point, if they had only had you for the trial, I think this might have gone a completely different
Hey,
direction
I probably would have been
based
a
on your
good trial.
scientific analysis here. So, nonetheless, this is where we're at. Another big issue was the police officers involved were being caught being very gross people. And we'll just leave it at that. Very disgusting people. And we're going to give no time to that because I don't deal with that kind of nonsense. But anyone who's a trash human being, and they think that any human is less than another, ugh,
Yeah.
fall off a cliff. No one needs that shitty people. Nope. So there was a civil trial that came up. Of course, everybody knows he was found not guilty. Spoiler alert. Da-da-da. He was found not guilty. This was like a huge thing. I'm not going to get into all of the other scenarios and what happened with that. There was a wrongful death civil trial that the Goldbergs and the Brown family had filed against him and won. And girl, they won a lot of money. Now he wasn't able to pay it, and they reclaimed a lot of his memorabilia and all sorts of stuff. But that didn't really work out. But nonetheless, he was found in the civil trial because the double jeopardy thing.
So
He couldn't have been
dumb.
tried again.
So
But
dumb.
So now let's get to this, now that we're all caught up with everything that's been going on, this interview that happened.
2006.
So I want to ask you,
Yep.
what are your thoughts on OJ's interview there and what he shared and how he shared it?
So, interview was filmed in 2026. 2006. And that was the year I graduated high school, in case you were wondering.
But what I'm saying is when you watched it, what did you think?
I thought it was a good theory.
A good theory.
Conspiracy.
No, not my theory, but it's the whole interview of him.
Well, it seems like it's
hypothetically saying he did it, but
yeah, he's hypothetically saying everything in detail of what happened, so it doesn't seem quite hypothetic to me.
This is what got me, is there's multiple points in this interview where he references things like the knife. He says, oh yeah, well, Charlie, he says there's this person, Charlie, that was with him. If he hypothetically did it, this is what would happen. He would pull up in the back alley, which is where they say this. It's crazy how much this aligns, but okay. He goes to the gate. The interviewee asks him, was the gate locked or broken or open? And he says, I can't remember. That's the first thing that gets me.
Yeah.
What do you mean you can't remember? Wouldn't you, if you're telling a story or following up on some type of fictional story that was created, wouldn't you say, I don't remember what we put in the book there, or I don't remember what we had written there? But no, he says, I can't remember. And then talks about this guy, Charlie, who said that he wants to bring a knife with him because he always keeps a knife in the car for the crazies.
Yeah, who's Charlie?
some guy, a friend, he said he recently met. And this person has never come up before other than in this situation, but says he told Charlie to leave the knife in the car, but Charlie had actually brought it.
Damn Charlie.
He shows up on the porch and he says that Ron was actually there and starts arguing with him. And when he's referencing this argument, he is literally saying things as if he's recollecting something that actually happened.
Why didn't this documentary get more attention?
I don't know, because this was actually released in March of 2018. Even though it was filmed in 2006, it got shut down. They didn't actually release it.
Hmm.
It eventually did come out. And it's like, how did we miss this? I didn't hear about this at all until he passed away. And then this started resurfacing.
Yeah.
And he even says at one point that he says he turned to Charlie and he says, and I grabbed the knife. And then he stops and says, yeah, that part I remember. What?
Yeah. This feels like this is giving me JLo vibes. About
So?
let me tie it back. Let me get to what I'm saying.
Bring us to you.
So, like JLo saying that she's making a video, but it's not about her, but everything is about her actually. So this is Mr. Orenthal thinking about it.
It's all hypothetical, but it
it's not.
really actually is what
Yeah.
happened. So I wanna leave us on this, and I really encourage everyone to watch it. It's called the If I Did It Confessions of the Killer, like Lost. I'll try and link it below for everyone. But something came up, a conspiracy, a theory. This is merely just a theory, everyone. But allegedly, Orenthal's son from his first marriage is a lot like him and a bit of a hothead. And rumor had it he had been a little shank happy with some scuffles in the past, even with his ex-girlfriends.
Oh wow.
So, knowing that he is built much like his father, strong and all of that, and has a bit of a temper, I heard that the Brown family went to dinner that night, right? That Ron was going to bring the glasses and all of that. But where they were originally going to go was a restaurant that his son was allegedly a chef at. And they canceled that and ended up going to a different one. I didn't see for what reason and what theorized was all this stuff was. But at any rate, apparently some people think that maybe he was upset. And because of the state that OJ was already in about Nicole and then his son that night having that situation, that maybe they met up and maybe Charlie is not his alter ego, which is what some people thought and what I thought actually originally. But what if it was his son that went with him and his son was Charlie?
Yeah, so see, this ties back to my analogy of this being like the John Benet Ramsey case, where conspiracy theory is that the older brother did it and the parents were trying to cover up for him.
The old classic whodunit.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
So we hope you guys enjoyed this little journey and history lesson of OJ and the little brief theory that we have on what happened. And we'd be interested to see what you guys think of the documentary if you get to catch it, or that interview, because that interview is intense. It's crazy.
Yeah, it is. Yep.
But we do want to let you little smokies in on something. We are going to have to take a break next week. We have some business, the thing that keeps us afloat and funded here for you all and for us. So we are going to be skipping 1 week. It gives you time to catch up if you haven't watched some of the other episodes. Again, we got J-Lo, we got Pete Diddy, we got Gypsy, and boy, do we have some updates coming on some of those things. So we might be going back to the bayou sometime soon here, everybody. There's a lot of activity over there. But if you have any special requests, I do want to ask you guys, drop them down below if you want us to cover something, because we are taking that week off. So we will have some open availability to look into some other things and would love to hear from you. Also, please make sure you like, subscribe, share the video, tell your friends, tell your family, or don't. This could also be your dirty little secret if you'd like to keep it that way. So, I hear that my socks are going to be knocked off today, though. Rumor had it you had shared that.
I did learn. I did my research before this on how to say goodbye. So I've been trying to pick my favorite one. And I think I'm going to go with Johnny. Johnny.
Is it spelled like Johnny?
J-A space N-E-E. It is the informal way to say goodbye in Japanese.
Oh, all right. Well, you heard it here first. And if your name is Johnny, that was not a shout out. That was actually just us saying goodbye. And I'm incredibly sorry if I just disrespected that language by saying that very, very shitty joke.
Sorry.
Well, before Simone keels over here again, thanks a lot, you guys. I hope you had a good time. And I guess we'll see you on the next one.
See you later, alligator.